Welcome back, guys. Look, June 20 is the official start of summer, but we have transitioned to heat and humidity. We've also transitioned away from COVID.
Now you multiply that, by thousands, by tens of thousands of individuals interacting and reacting to the police, and it grows in complexity, obviously, tremendously.
People sometimes ask why we ride motorcycles in the woods. That audio clip might give you some idea. This is the drive up into Foxboro. As you can see, it was a wet night and the trails will be slick. Rich and I head off into the woods. Bike of choice for today is my KTM 200, and I have once again taken Brian Gillen's advice and reduced the rebound damping on the forks by 2 clicks on this bike, just like I did on the Beta. Very curious to see how that works out. Already this early in the ride, I'm pretty sure that the change to the rebound damping has made a huge difference. I'm also only running 5.5 pounds of pressure in the front tire using the tubeless system. The two of those things together have greatly reduced deflection. So you see me ripping through that section there, and the front end just tracks straight. I'm not used to that. It is fantastic. I'm using a new setting on the GoPro today, in addition to all these other changes. This is called Super View, and I think it gives a wider field of view. You can see more of the sides of the trail. It may make it seem not quite as bumpy, although I can tell you, watching this over, man, those roots are so slick. Black as night, and the rocks were slick too. But I tell you what, this change to the forks made a big difference with deflection. And I thought, whoa, yeah, almost lost the back end there trying to climb up this rock. Anyway, the Super View I think looks good. I think it's better. Got my little slick this morning. Here comes Rich. Alright, I lost sight of Rich for a little bit here, but this section coming up is pretty fast, lots of rocks and roots, and this is where I know for sure that the front end on the KTM has gotten a lot better. all through here, this is exactly where things get deflected, your front wheel gets pushed around. You see me attacking these wet roots and this tangle of roots here at the end, right over it. That's because I am now totally confident.
It's wet, very wet.
As we make our way through the woods in this next section here, the suspension is feeling really good, and I'm even able to keep up with Rich, which is pretty cool. This section dumps out onto basically like a mini fire road, which has a decent number of big roots and rocks across it. And it was on that section where I realized I could really start attacking the trail. I've attacked the trail in the past, and usually what happens is I crash because the bike, I think, was just not properly set up, and the front would deflect and cause some serious problems for me. No longer the case. What a relief. All right, here we go. Open it up. Okay, aside from that one momentary lapse, you can see that I can carry the speed, a lot more speed than I usually do. I'm slowly figuring this out, and I'm slowly starting to get really happy. Rich, by the way, his suspension is totally improperly adjusted, and I still can't catch him. So, what's up with that? Alright, we stopped for a quick goggle adjustment, or in Rich's case, removal, and start into one of my favorite sections at Foxboro. I wish it were longer, but it's really filled with roots and rocks, but has this kind of cool little stream crossing. I'm expecting the front end will be put truly to the test here as well.
And I went 2 clicks on the front fork, left rebound. So happy with that. So much less deflection, I don't understand it. Well, I mean, there's some deflection there, but...
It's going to sound a little crazy, but by this section I was actually already really hot and really starting to feel the humidity. It's only, has it even been 10 minutes? But kind of in survival mode on that last little section there, and having good luck with that. I think usually that would have really bit me, but pushing through and happy about it. Rich, I think, is, he's right behind me, but I think he is struggling with traction and suspension. So we mess with that later in the day, but like a section like this right here would be really tough for him because he'd be slipping around on these roots and rocks here and getting bounced around too. We switched bikes later in the day, and I think we made some improvement. A big part of that improvement was Rich realizing that he needs tubeless tires like I have. That's TUBLISS, so that he can run that 5 pounds of pressure in the front. That'll make a huge difference.
flickers more.
Notwithstanding the attack of the killer foliage there, I was really getting on the gas on this next little short shoot here and actually got into the second half of the throttle. It's awesome. So really getting hard on the gas brings this 200 alive. I can tell that's how it's meant to be ridden. And then I immediately pull over and have an old man moment.
Oh, it's humid.
Before we came out today, Rich and I were talking about Foxboro and how tricky it is. I offered to show him some of the lines that I've worked out on the loop. And one of the sections here I thought was one of the particularly difficult climbs. So I wait up for Rich a little bit and just check to make sure he's going to follow me. But after I turn around, do the waiting, make sure he's there, I realize it's actually one of the really easy hills. And he doesn't need any help at all here. You just pin it and go. Oh well.
One of the things I find is that softer flex setting. Still wet, but push slide over like you normally would. I remember that late over shit on a route. See what my front tire pressure is. Well,
I usually run about 10 pounds up front. Today I'm running 5.5 and it feels great. I'm doing stuff in the wet I don't usually do in the dry. Like there's a drop off up here that I just jump right off of. And that's not, I don't usually do that right here. Rip.
Haven't done that in a while. Good. I can hit those rocks. So I'd be worried about taking the flight. Maybe I should start a Adventure Street business.
Watching this back, I also noticed that I'm talking a lot during the ride, which is pretty unusual. I think an indication of lapse of concentration there. I think an indication of just being really comfortable and having a great day.
Back, custom forks, maybe they're better. Oh, man. I took a rebound out, but it feels to me like I took compression out. I'll have to ask Gillen about that one. This is a climb that has a line to it, or at least one that I use. I'll show Rich. So here I go to the right and then cut over and go all the way up the left. I think it's better. I'm not sure. So
you go to the right and then you cross over into that ravine on the left, or that washout.
Yeah, right before where the big stones are. So have a look and see what you think. God, it's humid.
That works. Just so slippery. I'm all over the place.
It's crazy.
And confidence level is... Yeah, we got to that first section and I spun out a little bit. I went to another section and I whiskey throttled a little bit and I'm like, just calm, just ride. Like, don't think, ride. Because the more I'm like, do this, do that, do this, do that, instead of just looking ahead and riding. And then my horn's held on by a zip tie, but sits perfectly fine right there. I don't know, maybe tubeless this summer. Get this brakes on the old spending. I just bought handlebars. I say that and then I go and buy stuff. So 60, 90 days, you'll be riding a Beta 300R. If the front end's not sliding, then the rear end's sliding. And I don't mind the rear going. It's
right.
The front that I get all...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know,
yeah.
Like I said, I think I'm overthinking things. I need to just calm down and just ride.
I have to say the trailside chats are awesome. I mean, they're very interesting, but also the level of enthusiasm is so high because it is such a wonderful break from the day-to-day grind. So happy to be able to get out here. Also, I don't know if I mentioned that I'm happy with how the bike is performing today. Good work. Oh my God, gas pouring out. That's not good. Okay, that was a little embarrassing. Took me a few minutes. Rich waited for me. Thank you, Rich. And we're back underway. Let's see what we got here. And nothing is easy at Foxboro, is it? You know, this section right here, one of the few areas where you really notice the difference between the 200 and the 300, right? Just pushing through, trying not to stall out and grunting over those kind of walking speeds. The 300 is magic, takes no effort. The 200, you gotta definitely pay more attention.
So I feel like I'm getting a ton of deflection. So I don't know if you want to ride for a minute and then make an adjustment or what.
I don't want to break your bike. That's what I want.
Valentino Rossi said that when he switched from Yamaha to Ducati and rode the Ducati for the first time, he knew within seconds that he had made a terrible mistake. Within the first few seconds on Rich's bike, I totally recognized the same feeling that I had had on my bike before making all these changes. Very skittish up front, and as you'll see, it just was so rigid it would push like right about here. Yep, you see the wheel cocks almost totally sideways and spearing off into the woods. This is the problem that I recognized on the Beta and the 200. So I think we can fix it. And by we, I mean we'll just do what Brian Gillen told us to.
Feel the difference?
Immediately.
I think I have like 4 pounds in that front tire.
Oh, that too. You think it has to do with the tubeless and the adjustments on the suspension? Oh, this thing is just...
Right. Yeah.
It's a whole different ride. And
good.
then you can just ride that all the way back to the truck and enjoy.
All right, off you go.
So I continue riding Rich's bike after a couple of adjustments, but you can see, watch the handlebars, and you'll see they snap back and forth really quickly in these roots and rocks. That's the front suspension not moving up. So instead of moving up, it just deflects left and right. That's what we're trying to cure. And as you can see, it's not predictable, it's really rough, and the last thing it makes you want to do is open the gas.
Oh, Rick, you got a lot of faith in me.
It's weird, that cockpit's smaller than that.
What's
Feels
that?
To me.
So that first change seemed to improve Rich's bike. We switched, now he can check it out for himself, see how he likes it, and if it's a good direction, he can keep going that way. I think the tire pressure is a big part of it too. One thing that did not improve when we made those changes to Rich's bike was my physical conditioning. Totally exhausted, the heat was brutal. The riding ability, to the extent there was any, started to drop off steeply, as you're about to see.
Watch out for that root.
Yeah, watch out for that root indeed. You can see in the slow-mo, I put my front wheel at the worst possible place, and it just rides that root right to the end, dumps me on my ass.
Feels a little different. So did you go, which way did you go? This way or this way? You go positive or negative?
Minus.
Okay. It's hot.
I noticed a little bit. One benefit of riding on a day when it's beastly humid, very hot, and it's poured rain overnight is nobody else is riding. So as you see, the tire tracks you see there, those are mine, and those are Rich's. And those are the only tracks that are being made today, because everybody else is smart and staying at home. coming up here, I saw a route just like the one I wiped out on a couple minutes ago. And you'll see I go to the very edge of it, the sort of far edge. Very smart and a much better result. It is funny watching this back and seeing just those two tire tracks. We're the dumbest sons of bitches out there. The only people riding today. But we were talking after the ride about where we might ride next or what we might ride next, and I think I might ride the Beta 390. It's much heavier than this bike, and I think a little scary at Foxboro, but maybe if I could get the suspension dialed in, it would actually be really fun. That's something to think about, actually. There's a section coming up here, it's kind of dark, always really muddy. Reminds me a lot of a 2-day ride that we do in New Hampshire. I always find it terrifying because I think there must be some hidden log or root underneath the water that's going to just put me right into the woods. But with this new fork setting, I think I'm willing to roll the dice and just power through it. Hope for the best and see what happens. Well, I got through that mud no problem. Next up is the climb that Rich and I stopped before last time. Start out on the right, cross over to the left. Let's see how we do.
Don't use the trees as bumpers. No. When you're coming around a corner, you see a tree and you lean in, you're like, oh, if I just brush it, it won't hurt. Oh, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Skill level, exhausted, hot, sweaty, slippery, all together.
Happy I could share a great day at Foxboro with you guys. Stay safe.